So at this point, Vivian is back in Joburg and she's keeping all lines of communication with Gabriel, who's in Kinshasa, wide open, and with Keith, who is still in London. Now, while she's talking to Gabriel, he reminds her that, remember when you were in Kinshasa, I had said that you should consider, having your own store here, like a boutique, nothing too big. I really think you should consider it. He thought that the clothes she was wearing while she was in Kinshasa were amazing and that woman would take to them. I mean, she's a very fashionable woman. So he reminds her about it and he's like, really think about it and perhaps come here to Kinshasa. And obviously, this is also his way of, trying to get her to come back. Now, she makes it very, very clear that she would love, love, love to have a store there. But the only issue is that her man Keith is still back in London and she now knows she has to be very strategic. There's no ways she can get on a flight and just go back to Kinshasa when homeboy hasn't even come back from London. It's all going to look too suspicious. So she says to Gabriel, just give me some time to sort myself out, and when I'm ready, I'll make sure that, I come back to Kinshasa and I do what I need to do. So he says, cool, no pressure. She's not got all this time on her hands. She's by herself. So she figures, well, right now my store's in good position. Her beauty brand is doing good. So, why not spoil herself a little? She's been working hard. So she decides, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go shopping. And that she does. She needs a new handbag and where other than LV to go. So she goes to the LV store. She's rocking a really cute, tight black dress, slip-ons, a bucket hat, and she's just that bootang. So she goes to LV and she starts shopping around, looking at the bags, looking at the shoes, all of that. And while she's looking at some bags, she notices a man sitting there. And now he's got shoes all around him. And he has shop assistants helping go and get him new shoes, the right sizes, this, that, and the other, help him put them on. And she notices that he's trying on all these different shoes. So when she gets close enough, she just says to him, I like those other shoes better. And he's like, these ones, right? And she's like, yeah, no, those ones are really, really nice. And he's like, but why not just have them all? And he laughs it off and she laughs it off. Now she goes back to looking for her bag. And he notices that she's really confused about which one to take. It's just between these two. And so he says, I like that other bag you picked up. And she's like, that one. And he was like, yeah, that's a really, really classic, classy bag. And she takes it. And so while she's paying, he comes up behind her and he's also now got to pay for his stuff. And they end up walking out the shop together. He says to her, I'm Kwame, by the way. And she introduces herself. And they keep walking and talking. Eventually, Kwame says to her, you're not following me, are you? But in a very joking way. And she says, nope, actually, I'm going to have some lunch. I'm going to sit at a restaurant and it happens to be in this direction. And he asks if he can follow her. So she says, yeah, sure, why not? So they end up going to sit and have lunch. Now, let me tell you about Kwame. Kwame is that salt and pepper man. He is a grown man. He's older than Gabriel and Keith. He has got that effortless wisdom about him. When you speak to him, you can tell this guy is experienced. He's experienced some things. He's got that very refined, gentleman behavior about him. And so the more they get to know each other, he tells her, I'm divorced. I divorced my wife about 2 years ago. I've got a daughter. So my focus is really just my daughter and, learning from life and making money. And he asks, are you in a relationship? And she says, nope, I'm single and my focus is also work. And he says, that's really surprising for a woman so beautiful. Wow. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm just really focused on myself and making money. And he says, okay. So they spend the whole afternoon talking and, just catching up. And eventually he says, look, I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for the lovely lunch. He pays for it. And he says, but I really need to go and at least use the last couple of hours of this day to just get some work in. And they go their separate ways. Later on, he calls to check that everything is okay with her, that she got home safely and all of that. And that conversation that was really just a checkup turned into hours on the phone. He then says to her, listen, my friend is actually having a birthday dinner tomorrow and I'm not sure if you're keen to go. If you are, let me know. I can send you a driver. If not, not a problem. She says, no, I'd love to come. I mean, I'm not doing anything. She knows her men are not in town. So he says, okay, cool. I'll send you a driver tomorrow. Yeah. So the following day, he does just that. He sends her a driver, and the driver picks her up and takes her to the venue where he's standing and waiting for her. Now, obviously, this is a formal event. So he's dressed well. She's dressed well. And they spend the whole time at that event dining, dancing, having a really, really good time. Like a really, really good time. As the night gets later and later and late and later and late and later, he eventually says, I'm tapping out. I'm good to go back to my place and relax. I don't know if you would like my driver to take you back. You're welcome to come to my place for a nightcap. And she's like, let's just go to your place. And they do. And they go and have a nightcap and eventually pass out. The next morning, she wakes up to a very empty bed. And now she has to go and look for this man, because where is he? So she gets up out of bed. She notices that there's slip-ons on the side of the bed. She puts them on. They're his, of course. And she starts walking. Now, every suspicion Vivian had about this man was very on point. From the lunch date they had 2 days ago to the time they spent chatting last night, she suspected that this man was doing very well, and that he is. But I mean well. He's not just living comfortably, he is living well. She walks through the house and she notices a library, a bar area, a indoor pool area, like a little man cave. There's a big lounge area, a big dining area, and of course a very spacious kitchen and a beautiful garden. And she eventually finds him in the kitchen and he's making coffee, and he says, I hope you do not mind. I do not have the strength to cook, so I ordered some food, but I at least want to make you some coffee. And she takes the coffee. They, drink some coffee, wait for the food, eat. And he says, listen, there's no rush for you to go home. You're more than welcome to chill around. I'm literally going to laze in front of this TV. And yeah. And she's like, no, I'd love to do that. And what was supposed to be just like a day of lounging and perhaps her going home later, she ends up spending the night again. The following day, she goes home. And Keith has told her that he'll be returning the following day. And so she knows that I need to get myself together. I need to do my hair. I need to do my nails. I need to look fresh for this man when he comes back, because she hasn't seen him in a minute. So she does that. And Kwame calls her to check, like, is everything okay? I'm so sorry. I couldn't even, wake up this morning properly and let you out. The drinking was just heavy on me. And she's like, no, everything is okay. I'm just out getting pampered a bit, doing nails and stuff. And he's like, let me send you some. Let me pay for that stuff. Just to make up, because I really feel bad and just rude. And she's like, okay. And she drops her account details and he sends her some money. So she does what she's doing. And later on that day, Keith arrives. He arrives. And she doesn't go to him the first night. Because it is really late. So the following day, she makes sure she calls him and she's like, what's good? What's popping? I need to come and see you. And he was like, let's do dinner. I've got so much good news. And I just want to take the whole day to rest and sleep. And I don't want you to come and watch me sleep. And she's like, not a problem. So she makes sure she looks cute, because again, she hasn't seen her man. So she looks fine when it's time to go and see him that night. And they meet up and he's in such a good mood. He is, baby, let's get some champagne. Let's just do the most. And the more she gets to talk to him, the more she realizes when he was in London, this man closed some serious deals. He closed some serious deals and he is making some money. And some of the deals were not just him going to London and doing blah, 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 blah. It was investments. Investments are coming through. Like he's cashing out on some investments. And he's feeling so good about it. And when they go back later that day, they're in bed. She hears him on the phone talking about wanting to secure more property. She sees him on his laptop, looking at new cars. And she's just like, wow, my love, you really, really, you closed some, you got them things, you got the money things. And he's like, praise be, like, honestly, no, I've worked hard. And she knows Keith works hard. That's not a secret about him. He works very hard. So she says to him, no, you've got to put me on. You've really got to put me on. You need to introduce me to this investment or investment advisors that you have, because I also want to start making some good coin. And he says, okay, no problem. The next dinner I go to, networking dinner, you're more than welcome to come. And so he takes her, and he meets her, he introduces her to a few of the investment advisors, and specifically to his one who helps him get those coins. And she says to this guy, I'd love to sit and meet with you and discuss. And because he knows Keith and she's coming through Keith, he's like, of course, no problem. We can organize breakfast tomorrow. And we sit and we talk. So the following day, they do just that. And Keith goes along. And Keith is just like, I'm not here to get involved. I'm just here to make sure that you guys are good and everything goes accordingly. But babe, in terms of how much you invest, it has to be what you're comfortable with. And yeah, I'm not here to interfere. So she has a discussion with him. After he explains to her about how he does this and that and this and that, he says to her, look, take a moment to think. Take a few days to think about how much you want to invest. Simmer with this information. Don't just throw money in. And she agrees. So she does. She takes that time to think about it. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to go 50K in. She's got the money to do it. So she goes 50K in. Now, those couple of days of, you know, I've made this investment. I'm seeing my man, just being high on the fact that her man is happy that he's doing well, her looking at her businesses, her feeling like, now I'm moving into a new place where I'm also about this investment and I'm also about to make these coins. He's introduced me to an investment advisor. She's feeling good. And now she's like, I need to take Gabe up on this opportunity. It would be a good opportunity and time to go in with this store. So she tells her man, listen, babe, I want to go back to Kinshasa and I want to open a store. I think that it would be amazing for me to go there. Julia, her friend, has been trying to, which was not true, but Julia has been really pushing me to open the store. Obviously, when I was there for Fashion Week and that time, people were seeing me in my pieces. They loved them. I've been doing a lot of research about it. When you're in London, I was speaking to the right people, and I'm really thinking about it. And surprisingly enough, he is all for it. He's like, my love, go and make your money. I'm not going to sit here and say no while I'm making my money. Go and make your money. So she does. She flies back out to Kinshasa. Of course, Gabriel comes and fetches her from the airport. As soon as they get in the car, they're handsy. They're all lovey-dovey, all over each other. And he tells the driver, go straight to that store that I want to show her. So they do. They go straight to the store and she steps out. And it is a really cute space. And it's in a really beautiful neighborhood. It's in a very beautiful area. And she goes in and she's like, this is absolutely stunning. Now, what you need to know is that this place is not stripped bare. The previous owner, in trying to sell the store off, made sure that when people came to view it, there was still certain furniture. Now, if they wanted to buy the store with the furniture, it was going to cost X amount. Without the furniture, it was going to cost that amount. But the bottom line is that she could see the potential of the store and how beautiful it really is. And she's just like, this is stunning. This is my vibe. So she's like, how much is this going to set me back? Now she's asking that knowing full well she expects Gabriel to bust that checkbook out and pay for this because he's the one who's been trying to convince her to open in Kinshasa. And he says, no, come on, I've got this. I've got it. I knew you would love the space, so I secured it. Yeah, it's yours. It's absolutely yours. Now she's feeling, listen, this man she's been seeing, this politician's son, is doing everything he can to impress her. And now while this may be chump change to him, because remember, he's not just a politician's son. He has used his dad's political connections to start his own business, which is very lucrative. This to him is nothing. These are peanuts to him. So she's just feeling so good that he's doing all of this stuff for her. Now, when she came to Kinshasa, she made it a point to pack a lot of, like 2 suitcases full of some of her merch. And she'd also asked her assistant to courier other pieces so that once she found her store, she could start filling it and getting it together. So he says to her, look, if you want this furniture, we can keep it. If not, let's go and look at furniture pieces, this, that, and the other. And they do. They spend about 2-3 days going and looking for furniture pieces. She decides she wants to change the lighting, and everything is just, it's easy things to change, very easy things to change. And they do. She's in communication with Keith and Kwame. Keith says to her, baby, listen, I'm decided I want to go on a little vacation and I've got a little bit of business to take care of in Dubai. Would you like me to get your ticket and then we meet there? And she's like, how's to the yeah. She wants to go to Dubai and meet her man there for a vacation. So she wraps everything up with Gabriel. The store, she makes sure that the pieces are in there. The pieces she's brought, they're all up in there looking the part. So she flies out to Dubai to meet Keith. Now they're spending time together vacationing, but remember, he's also made it clear he's here for some work. So they get a bit of work done. She gets a bit of work done. And while he's out and about busy, she's in the hotel. She's calling Kwame, she's calling Gabe, she's calling Kwame, she's calling Gabe. She's making sure she keeps that communication going. Kwame says to her, I actually miss your presence. I miss your face. I miss all of that. And then she's like, oh, really? How much? And he's like, a lot. No, I really do. You're a very, very nice person. And she's like, then prove it to me. Send me a little bit something, so I can spoil myself. And he sends her some money. Her credit alert goes off and she's got some coins. Now they're spending their time in Dubai. Eventually, a few days in, Keith's like, my love, I'm so sorry. I know I brought you here for vacation. We've only had a few days to go out and do our own thing. And then the other time I've spent like doing my own business related stuff. Let me take you out to dinner tonight to make up for it. And so he books them. He makes a reservation at some gorgeous restaurant and they go there. And she makes sure she looks, listen, she goes there looking like the 1, 2, and 3. And he's also looking, So they get to the restaurant and they're seated. He orders champagne, he orders starters, and he says to her, this is our night. You do what you want. We have to celebrate more. I'm in such a good mood. And she's already deciding what she's going to have for her main course and dessert. And she's just like, I'm with my man and nothing can interrupt this. And now he's occasionally on his phone and he's like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry. These people are just, it's business. And she's like, my love, no, I understand. Do what you need to do. So he then says to her, listen, I hope you don't mind, but a business partner is coming past here. I need to sign something quickly so he can leave me alone. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, cool. Their main course comes, they tuck into that. They're having a good time. And before she can think of anything to say and do and process, Gabe is sitting there. Gabe is sitting right there next to her with Keith. Gabe is sitting there. And Keith leans in and he says, Vivian, who is this? And she's just looking flabbergasted. Like she is staring at the both of them like, what is going on? Now she's looking at Gabriel like, what are you doing? In her mind, she's thinking, so Gabriel followed me here to Dubai to do what? To try and blow up my spot with my man? What is going on? Keith says again, who is this? And then she was like, what do you want me to say? And he says to her, Vivian, when you and I started dating, I told you from Jump Street that I know people who know people who know people. I have very long legs. I have connections everywhere. You know me. You know I travel. You know I know people. So why? Why do all of this? Why do all of this? Did you think that you were never going to get caught? Why do all of this? And then she's like, well, how? How do you? And he was like, he called me. Gabriel called me. I know him. I know him very well. I've been to Congo a couple of times. I know people who know people. Him and I met, but the bottom line is that I know him. And a mutual friend saw you in Kinshasa with him this past time. And this guy also knows that you and I are dating. He's seen us together in Joburg. So Gabriel called me up and said, what's good? Who is this girl? Are you seeing this woman? And I said, yes. Lo and behold, we're both dating you. She looks at Gabriel and she's like, why would you do this? Why would you do any of this? And Gabriel was like, are you mad? Vivian, are you mad? So you're more concerned about the fact that you got caught as opposed to what you've been doing to us. How greedy can you be? How greedy can you be? All you do is take. You've got a man, and because I know this man, because I know Keith, you're well taken care of. So you're taking and taking from him. And then you're out here taking, like, mommy, I gave you a car. I've just bought you a shop. Like, when is it enough? Keith is shaking his head. He's like, oh, you mean the car that you claim that you were just test driving for some time. You were thinking of buying. You mean that Mercedes? Okay, cool. Carry on, Gabe. And Gabe is like, I mean, I just don't get it. Why would you do any of this? Why would you do any of it? Vivian is not giving them any answers. Now she's, you know how when you're embarrassed and you've been caught out and these people are not letting up, now you turn into beast mode. Now you're being very, very defensive and she's not hearing any of it. And Keith says, look, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. I just want you to know that I know and I'm done. I wash my hands of the situation. I'm done. Gabriel's like, me too. I cannot be a part of this type of foolery and mess. I'm good. Brother, you have no problems with me. I'm still here. If you need anything in Congo, you know where to find me. Business contact, I'm still your man. And Keith is like, and vice versa. If you need anything from me, I'm still here. And he wraps the dinner up. Keith pays and Vivian follows him out. Gabriel leaves. Vivian goes with Keith. Now it's very awkward and silent and they get in the car. And she's like, so this is what you were setting up. And he's like, Vivian, I'm not about to argue with you about how this went down. You don't get to tell me how to address you cheating on me. I've been a fool out here in these streets. I've been trying my best to take care of you. I am taking care of you. And now you're concerned about how I addressed the cheating you did. Listen, ma'am, I'm going back to Joburg. You're more than welcome to come back with me. I've still got your flight ticket, your ticket. Sleep in the hotel. I'll sleep on the couch. You take the bed. But I'm going back tomorrow. If you want to stay here, you're more than welcome. But I'm leaving. Keith is not a monster. If there's one thing he's not going to do is leave her stranded in Dubai. He's not going to do that. That's just not in his heart. It's not his nature. And so the following day, they fly back out to Joburg. The vacation is over. It's done. Besides, Keith has gotten all the business he needed to do out of the way. It's done. When they get to the airport, she gets a cab. She gets her stuff from baggage claim. She gets a cab and she goes to her apartment. He gets into a cab and he goes where he needs to go. As soon as she gets to the house, she puts the key in and it's not going. It's not going. Now there is a place at the apartment where she hid a spare key. So she grabs that spare key and even that is not working. And she's like, this guy has locked me out. There's no other way to say it. Clearly he got somebody to lock me out. So she starts rushing back downstairs so that she can get into her car, the one Gabe bought her, and she can go and find somewhere to stay. When she gets down there, the car is gone. It is gone. She goes over to security and she's like, where's my car? What's going on? And he said, Sissy, the owner of the car had somebody come and collect it. They came and they showed paperwork. They came with the police. The car's gone. They took it. There's nothing we could do. They had the paperwork to prove that the car belonged to this and this person. So yeah, she is livid. She is mad. She calls Keith. Keith answers and he's like, what? What's up? And then she's like, so you locking me out of my own house. Where the F is my furniture? Where the F is my stuff, my clothes, my everything? Where's all of the stuff? And he's like, I asked the security to give you a key. There should be a key there for you. I've put your stuff in storage. Everything that you own is in that storage. Yeah, figure that out. And she drops her phone. She calls Gabriel. He is not trying to hear a thing. He does not answer her phone. She cannot think. Her mind is racing. Everything is just feeling so unreal, so uncomfortable. She's frustrated. She's hurt. She's confused. She's got that, that feeling in the pit of your stomach. You're feeling sick. You're feeling sick. You're feeling hurt. You're feeling sick. So she decides, I'm just going to go to a hotel. I can't be walking around with this luggage indefinitely. Where am I going to go? Now, she doesn't want to call her girlfriends because she's not ready to tell them what has happened. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. So she checks into a hotel. Again, she's not broke. She's not broke. Not by a long shot. Like, she is not broke. She's not broke. So checking into a hotel for a couple of days, for a couple of months, is something she can afford. She has her own businesses that are making her money. So she checks into the hotel and she just needs to clear her mind and regroup and figure herself out. And it occurs to her that you need to start checking your finances. You need to start looking and replanning because things have changed. How you thought you were going to be living, how you thought you were going to be getting extra coins is no longer the plan. So regroup, mommy, and figure this out because this is just not the situation you need to be in. Figure it out. While she's going through her finances, she remembers, oh yes, I invested 50K in that company. So she calls the investment advisor and she says to him, what's up? How you doing? This, that, and the other. I'm just calling to check up on my investments. How's everything doing? Are the investments how's everything going? And he says, look, Vivian, I'm not going to beat about the bush and, I'm just going to be very honest with you. That 50K that you invested, it's gone. I gave it back to Keith. I had made certain, I was planning what I usually do. So what he would usually do is without even explaining it, he gave the money back to Keith. He was like, I let it accumulate and this, that, and the other. I gave what needed to be given back to Keith. He told me about everything that went down. He told me about how much money that you managed to get. The whole thing is a mess and he asked for that money. So I gave it to him and she's like, how dare you? That was my money. And he was like, and all that other money was his. And you used and abused my boy. Like, this is not how you do things, Vivian. It's not how. And she's like, how dare you? How dare you try? And you know what? I'm not dealing with this. And she drops the phone on him. Now she's trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? She takes 2 days by herself, cooped up in that hotel. She's drinking. She's stressed. She's crying. She's anxious. She's angry. She's all of those things. Eventually, she messages Kwame and she's like, can I come and see you? I'm just going through a lot right now. And he's like, absolutely. My door is always open. And she goes over to his place and they start talking. And he was like, I got her some food. I could tell by your tone you were not in a good space, and a little something to drink. And she starts getting a bit of drinks in her system and food. And she just wants to get close to Kwame again. She needs to feel that feeling of a man holding you and feeling like you're very protected. And Kwame is not being rude, but he's not being as touchy-feely as he was with her. He's also trying to keep his distance. And she's like, what's going on? Why are you treating me differently? Usually you're always holding me. What's this about? And he said, look, Vivian, when you and I met, I told you that I have a daughter. She's the most important thing in my life. All these other games and this, that, and the other, I don't have time for it. I've gone through a divorce. I'm not in that space anymore. I'm not. I don't want the drama. I don't want the extra baggage. I don't want all of that. So I think it's best that you and I don't cross those lines. And she was like, but that's a bit too late. Like we've already, and he says, I get that, but I think we need to just keep things separate. And she's like, where does this come from? Why now? And he says, when you were in Dubai, and I told you I missed you, instead of reciprocating those feelings and making me feel like, actually missing you was a good thing and this, that, the first thing you do is tell me to prove it by sending you money. And now while you know and see I'm living comfortably, I don't want to be in that dynamic where it's all about money and giving. I want to eventually find somebody who I can build something with. And I'm not trying to judge you for the type of woman you are and what you do. I like you. I genuinely think you're a good person. But for me personally, I'm not looking for that in my woman. She can't even hold herself anymore. She's feeling so rejected and she bursts into tears. Now she can't even hide anything from Kwame. She can't hide a damn diddly thing. She cries and she tells him everything she's been through. And he's listening to her. He's even giving her tissues and he's being patient and he's listening to her. And he says to her, look, Vivian, I'm just going to keep it 100 with you, yeah? And she's like, that's all I want, Kwame. I need you to, yeah. And he says to her, men have feelings too. We have feelings too. And although we may move around like we got it on lock and this, that, and the other, especially men with money, we like to act like everything is just under our control. It's under control. We're in control. Rich or women are nothing to us because we can afford this, and this. We've also got egos. We've also got feelings. And it hurts when people are constantly making you feel in some way like all you are is your money. That's a form of rejection. And he says to her, what you did was not okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a particular lifestyle and wanting what you want. But it does not give you the license to recklessly move through people's lives, to mistreat them. And that's the thing that I want people to understand, because all of it is being so glorified. Get money, catch bags, catch coins, catch flights, not feelings, because all of that is being so glorified and it's something that we hear all the time and we catch onto. We now think that that lifestyle is get it by any means. We don't care about connections. We don't care about people. We don't care about who we mistreat and misuse in the process. We do it just for our own gain. And that's not right. That's not right. It's absolutely not right. So mommy, by all means, go and catch those coins, but you don't have to disrespect people in the process. You don't have to misuse people in the process. I can tell you from what you've told me to, like right now, these men are hurt. They're hurt. They got their feelings hurt. You're sitting here hurt. They're hurt. Nobody has won in all of this. Keith invested all the time and attention and money. Gabriel invested. This man bought you a whole entire store. He was willing to invest in your dream, and look at what you've done. Again, make that money. Do what you need to do. But the way you go about it matters. And he was like, the reality of the situation and the lie they don't tell, or the part of the truth they don't tell you about this elaborate lie is that not every woman is going to have that happily ever after story. Not every woman is going to find that billionaire and get married and live happily ever after. A lot of you are going to suffer in the process because this game you're playing is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, mommy. He was like, and I don't mean to bring myself into the equation, but look at me, an innocent bystander in all of this. Innocent in the sense that I did ask you, are you in a relationship? And you assured me not. Not only were you in a relationship you were in a relationship with two men. I told you I had a daughter. I told you that I'm not looking for foolery and drama. And look, you brought me into it anyway. And so my advice to you is just watch the way you move. Before you're a woman, before I'm a man, we are human beings. Let's not forget that. Don't get hyped up by what you're seeing on social media. Get it together, mommy. Do what you need to do, but remember that you should be prepared to take what you give. She can't even be mad at him. The way he said it to her was so clear. It was so loving, but so strong and firm. And eventually, they wrap up their lunch at his place. And a few days later, she gets a phone call to say that the apartment she was staying at, Keith's apartment, that there's a package that has arrived for her. And it was boxes couriered from Kinshasa with all her clothes in it that she had taken. And really and truly, that was the last time she heard from Keith and Gabriel. Kwame was still nice enough to entertain her, but he was very clear that it was never going to be anything more than just casual friends.